You were never lost. That is not the word the law recognizes. That is not the condition the Spirit permits. There is no such state in divine mind as lostness. It is not a category, it is not a destination, and it is certainly not a reason to delay your destiny. When you say you are lost, what you are truly saying is that you have stopped speaking as one who is led. You have paused your decree. You have submitted your authority to fear. You have mistaken fog for disappearance. And in doing so, you have suspended the law's ability to deliver your next instruction. Because the law does not move by confusion. It does not wait on emotion. It does not respond to panic. The law moves when you speak, not when you worry, not when you beg, but when you issue a word that aligns with divine order. The spiritual lie that you are lost is one of the most dangerous illusions a soul can entertain. Because it not only clouds your path, it paralyzes your speech. It puts your authority to sleep. It makes you wait for a signal that has already been given. The signal is not coming from heaven. The signal is waiting inside your own tongue. Your path has not vanished. Your map is not missing. Your timing is not broken. Your direction is not late. What has happened is that you have temporarily abandoned your spiritual position. You have let the fog speak louder than the flame. You have let your questions outrank your decrees. And now you wonder why the road has disappeared. But the road has not disappeared. It has simply withdrawn from your perception until you reclaim the right to see it. And what grants you that right? Speech, faith-filled speech, law-aligned speech, commanding speech, not commentary, not complaint, but the kind of declaration that pierces the atmosphere and reorganizes your reality. The kind of word that Florence Scovel Shinn taught not as suggestion, but as spiritual jurisprudence. The kind of sentence that does not wait to feel confident, but speaks because the law demands it be said. And so I ask you, when did you stop speaking like the one who knows? When did you start describing instead of declaring? When did you trade your spiritual compass for the report of your emotions? There is no power in emotion unless it is directed by the word. Your confusion is not the cause, it is the result. It is the echo of misalignment. And misalignment always begins when we agree with appearances more than with law. The law says, divine guidance is constant. Your senses say, I don't know what to do. Which one are you feeding? Because whichever one you affirm will shape the next 24 hours of your life. The law says, order is present. The mind says, everything feels delayed. Which one have you been rehearsing? Because the law is only allowed to work with the phrases you permit. Florence taught, the divine plan of your life cannot be lost. She did not say, unless you made a mistake. She did not say, unless you waited too long. She said it cannot be lost. Full stop. That means what is yours is not determined by timing, emotions, or accidents. It is determined by spiritual alignment, and that alignment is activated through speech. That is why silence is so dangerous when you feel uncertain. That is why feeling lost is not just a moment. It is a vibrational statement, and your subconscious records that statement as a command. Every time you say, I'm not sure, your system interprets it as, do not move. Every time you say, I don't know, your reality becomes a fog of unanswered signals. Not because the answers aren't present, but because the law was told to pause until your word returns. You must understand the metaphysical reality here. The universe is not failing to guide you. You have simply failed to authorize your own guidance. The divine never stopped directing you. The decree simply stopped flowing from your lips. Your instruction must be verbal. Your orientation must be intentional. The law does not recognize emotional requests. It moves by spiritual command. And if your command has been absent, the choreography of your life remains suspended, waiting for you to speak again. You say you want direction, but direction is not given. It is spoken into visibility. The plan of your life is not something you find. It is something you activate. And you activate it by choosing to speak lawfully, even when you feel nothing, see nothing, and understand nothing. Divine clarity does not come after your confidence. It comes after your decree. You don't speak because the path is clear. The path becomes clear because you speak. When Florence said, "Your word is your wand," she wasn't talking about magic tricks. She was pointing to spiritual technology. Your word lights the path, 1 inch at a time, not a mile, not a full vision, just the next inch. And when you honor that inch, the law responds. That is why you cannot afford to wait until you feel ready. Because readiness is not emotional, it is legal. You are ready the moment you speak, as if the law is already in operation. And it is. It always has been. The question is, will you step into rhythm with it? Or will you sit and wait for your feelings to confirm what your spirit already knows? Let me say this plainly. If you have not spoken today, you have not walked today. If you have not declared, you have not directed. If you have not taken spiritual authority over your atmosphere, you have authorized delay. Because the law respects order, not confusion. The law moves with rhythm, not hesitation. And your word is the rhythm setter. You say, "But I'm unsure." I say, "Speak anyway." You say, "But I feel unclear." I say, "That's exactly why you must speak." You say, "But I've tried this before." I say, "Try again, but this time with command, not confusion." There is no such thing as a lost soul, only a silent one. You were never meant to wander, you were designed to lead. And your leading begins not with planning, not with strategy, but with sentence. The right sentence, spoken in alignment with law, rearranges the fog. It parts the confusion. It begins to pull the next instruction out of the unseen. But you must speak it. Today marks the end of guessing. Today marks the end of hoping someone else will speak the clarity you were called to declare. You are not here to be rescued. You are here to issue the order. You are not here to be found. You are here to remember. You were never lost. You simply stopped speaking. So here is the first act of restoration. Silence the voice of confusion by replacing it with law. And the law says, the way is always present because the divine plan of my life is in full operation. Do not say, "I'll try this and see what happens." That is not law. That is superstition. Say instead, "I command the path to rise beneath my feet," and so it does. Say, "I walk by divine direction, and no appearance can confuse me." Say, "What is mine is shown, what is not mine is removed, and I move forward in spiritual certainty." This is not motivational speaking. This is legal jurisdiction in the unseen realm. This is not emotional encouragement. This is metaphysical reorientation. You are not hoping to be led. You are reclaiming the voice that never should have gone silent. For 14 days, you will speak. You will issue one spiritual sentence each morning and one before you sleep. These are not mantras. These are not affirmations. These are legal instructions given to the subconscious and recorded by the field. And when spoken properly, they begin to turn the atmosphere. Not because the world around you changes, but because you begin walking as one who governs it. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not broken. You are not unworthy. You are simply out of rhythm with the frequency of truth. And the fastest way back into that rhythm is to restore your decree. Begin again, speak again, align again, not later, not tomorrow, now. Because until your word goes forth, your future remains unshaped. The feeling of being lost is not a condition of reality. It is a misfiring of alignment. It is the echo of a soul that has temporarily suspended its dominion and begun interpreting silence as absence, delay as punishment, and lack of visibility as lack of destiny. But hear me clearly. Divine guidance is not absent when the path feels unclear. Divine guidance is not conditional on your mood, your current surroundings, or your intellectual clarity. It is ever present, ever moving, ever willing to respond. But it is bound by one condition. It only moves where there is agreement. An agreement is formed through the spoken word. The reason you feel lost is not because there is no way forward. It is because your voice has stopped describing the way. You have made a covenant, unintentionally, with the rhythm of fear. You have rehearsed the vocabulary of delay, and in doing so, you have entered into vibrational agreement with stagnation. The law responds to this, not as judgment, but as precision. For the law never makes a mistake. It is incapable of error. If you have spoken uncertainty, the law arranges your atmosphere to match it. If you have declared confusion, the steps you are about to take become invisible. Not because they disappeared, but because you called for them to be concealed until you speak again. This is the exact mechanism Florence taught. She did not tell her students to think better. She told them to speak differently. She did not teach strategy. She taught decree. Because nothing in divine mind operates by guesswork. It operates by lawful utterance. And the moment you speak outside the rhythm of law, you authorize distortion. You authorize delay. You authorize spiritual blindness. Not because you're being punished, but because the system is flawless. The law is not swayed by pity. It is moved by alignment. It is activated by declaration. And so, when you say, "I don't know what I'm doing," you are not being honest. You are issuing a contract. A contract that blocks the next instruction. A contract that stalls the unfolding. A contract that tells the spiritual realm to withhold your next assignment until your vibration shifts. Let me say it plainly. Misalignment is not a moral issue. It is a frequency issue. The same way a compass spins aimlessly when magnetized by an external force, your intuition misfires when you have allowed your language to be magnetized by appearances. You have stopped obeying the inner instruction. You have started negotiating with your senses. And the moment you require outer confirmation before speaking inner truth, you are no longer walking by law. You are waiting on man. And man cannot guide what only God designed. That is the root of delay. That is the trap of confusion. You demand that the full staircase be shown before you take the first step. But divine law does not reveal entire routes. It reveals inches. It illuminates based on instruction. It does not owe you a 5-year plan. It does not justify its timing to your logic. It waits. It listens. And the moment it hears a lawful word delivered in faith, absent of panic, anchored in knowing, it moves. The fog lifts, the stones arrange, the scenery bends, but not before. Never before. Because premature revelation would not serve you. What serves you is movement aligned with trust. And trust in this realm is not an emotion, it is a command. You issue trust with your mouth. You prove trust with your action, and you sustain trust with repetition. The lie you've lived under, the one whispered by exhaustion, shame, and spiritual fatigue, is this: I must figure it all out. But Florence shattered that illusion when she said, man's only responsibility is to speak the word. She did not say you must map the journey. She did not say you must invent the path. She said, speak the word. Because in speaking the word, you surrender the illusion of control and invoke the reality of cooperation with law. You are not an architect in the material sense. You are an activator of spiritual patterns. Those patterns are already designed. They are complete, perfect, alive. But they await voice. They await obedience. They await legal permission to rise into form. Your only delay has been this. You hesitated to speak. You paused to calculate. You waited for emotional evidence. You hoped someone else would confirm the impulse you already knew. But spiritual confirmation rarely comes in volume. It comes as a whisper, a nudge, a phrase that repeats in your mind, a sentence you cannot shake. That is the voice. That is the instruction. And when you ignore it, you delay the manifestation. Not because you are being punished, but because the law cannot override your free will. If you refuse to walk, the path cannot move. If you refuse to speak, the pattern remains dormant. Let me offer you a correction. The sense of being stuck is not caused by reality. It is caused by interruption of rhythm. When your word ceases to flow, so does your revelation. When your decree halts, so does the choreography. When your tone drifts into fear, the door begins to fade, not because it no longer exists, but because it only recognizes faith as its password. Fear will not open it. Desperation will not open it. Logic will not open it. Only the sound of spiritual obedience will unlock what is already prepared. Florence would say, speak the word only, and thy servant shall be healed. That was not metaphor. That was the formula. Speak the word only, without disclaimers, without delay, without doubt. Speak not what you see, but what you know. Speak not what is reported by man, but what is ordained by law. And if you don't know what to say, then begin with silence until the phrase rises. Not the phrase of hope, but the phrase of order. Not the chant of panic, but the tone of truth. And when it rises, when it arrives, speak it with fire. You do not need more vision. You need more vocabulary. You do not need to feel different. You need to decree differently. You do not need to wait for momentum. You need to authorize motion. And that authority lives in your tongue. It always has. So now I charge you to examine your phrases. Listen to your internal weather. What have you been telling the atmosphere? What have you been commanding your reality to repeat? Have you said, I'm tired, when you meant I'm unaligned? Have you said, I'm confused, when you meant I haven't spoken today? Have you said, I'm lost, when what you truly meant was, I've forgotten who I am? Begin today with this awareness. Every phrase is an instruction. Every word is a thread. And every sentence you speak weaves the next layer of your path. If your thread is built from delay, doubt, and description, then your robe will be woven from fog. But if your thread is stitched with power, rhythm, and spiritual precision, then clarity must descend. The law is bound to respond. And it begins again now, not with your effort, not with your planning, not with your intellect, but with your next decree. We now begin the first movement of restoration. 7 days of spoken alignment. These are not phrases for comfort. They are instruments of command. These are not affirmations in the shallow sense. They are recalibrations of your legal standing in divine mind. You are not speaking these words to wish something into place. You are invoking what is already structured, already written, already operational in the unseen realm. These next 7 days will not heal your confusion, they will dismantle it. and in its place, the scaffolding of spiritual rhythm will be installed. Florence never gave her students vague encouragement. She gave them precise statements, words constructed to pierce fog, sentences born from alignment with divine law. Every declaration she offered was a spiritual lever designed to move the invisible into form. We do the same here, not by copying, but by continuing the pattern of lawful speech. For the next 7 days, your only task is this: to speak and to walk as one whose word is final. Let us begin. Day 1. I walk by divine direction. This is not a request. It is a position, a statement of legal identity in the kingdom of order. You are not here to guess. You are not here to wait for signs. You are here to initiate movement based on spiritual certainty. When you say, I walk by divine direction, you are not hoping for guidance. You are entering into contract with it. You are establishing a vibration that cannot be overridden by appearances. This is the sentence that dissolves hesitation. Speak it before your feet touch the ground in the morning. Speak it before any thought attempts to narrate the day. Speak it until your bones accept it as instruction. I walk by divine direction, and the way is made plain. There is no ambiguity in that line. There is no room for confusion to attach itself. There is only clarity, secured by your tone. Day 2. I do not delay. I obey the whisper of spirit. Delay is not caution. Delay is disobedience dressed in rationality. The soul knows when it is being nudged. The nudge may not come with thunder, it may not shout, but it is exact. And when you wait to feel safe, when you pause to analyze, you have already stepped out of alignment. Divine timing does not operate on your intellectual terms. It moves by obedience, and obedience is measured in immediacy. You say, I'll think about it, but the spirit already moved. The moment was already calibrated. The opportunity already passed by. You will not miss the next one. But you must say this now. I do not delay. I obey the whisper. This is how miracles enter. Not by begging, by responding. Day 3. My next step appears and I follow. You are not responsible for the 10th step, only the next one. This is the mistake of many. They wait for a map when what they need is a sentence. They wait for visibility when what they must release is trust. Trust is not an emotion. Trust is a decree. When you say, my next step appears, you are not predicting. You are summoning. You are invoking the divine choreography that already exists. But remember this, the appearance of the next step does not come as reward. It comes as result of lawful speech. When you declare, you see. When you delay, the fog thickens. So declare it now. My next step appears. I follow. Do not ask for proof. Proof follows motion. Motion follows word. Day 4. There are no detours in divine mind. Every so-called mistake is simply a recalibration of your path. You say, I turned the wrong way. But the law says all things are ordered. You say, I failed. But the Spirit says, I redirected you. There is no such thing as failure in the system of divine mind, only feedback, only repositioning. If you are aligned, even your detours are productive. Even your silence is sacred. Even your delays are intelligence. Say it aloud. There are no detours in divine mind. I am always on the path of my highest good. This is not wishful thinking. This is the metaphysical truth. Your journey has not gone off course. It has gone through refinement. Day 5. Every closed door redirects me to something better. You must stop mourning the doors that never opened. You must stop spiritualizing your regret. If the door closed, it was never yours. If the opportunity vanished, it served its function. If the person left, their chapter was complete. This is the law. You do not chase what does not stay. You do not plead for what will not remain. You say instead, every closed door redirects me to something better. And you mean it, not emotionally but structurally. Because in divine mind, your path is not altered by endings. It is clarified, it is purified, it is made precise. Say the sentence until all grief bows before your dominion. Day 6. I walk in perfect order. I move with grace. You are not erratic. You are not scrambling. You are not desperate. You are not behind. You are not unchosen. You are not being punished. You are in motion, perfect, lawful motion. When you walk with grace, you do not drag yesterday's panic into today's path. When you walk in order, you do not compete with time. You move in rhythm. You breathe in alignment. You command without force. Speak this sentence to the atmosphere before it attempts to script your day. I walk in perfect order. I move with grace. This is how you cleanse your internal weather. This is how you silence inherited frenzy. Day 7. I trust what I cannot yet see. This is the moment of testing. The moment when your senses scream for evidence, but your soul whispers, stay. Trust. Continue. There is no proof available yet, because the pattern has not finished forming. If you demand to see before you declare, you will disqualify the demonstration. Law is not activated by seeing. Law is activated by believing, and that belief is always spoken. Say this with command. I trust what I cannot yet see, and because I trust, it now appears. There is no poetry in that line. There is only certainty. There is only rhythm. There is only law. These are your first 7 days of spiritual realignment. They are not optional. They are not gentle suggestions. They are spiritual contracts, each one an instruction to the field, each one a correction to the mind, each one a pattern reinstalled into your personal atmosphere. You are not to miss a day. You are not to whisper these with timidity. You are not to repeat them casually. You are to declare them as one with legal authority, because that is what you are. A lawful being in a lawful system, speaking the lawful word in the lawful tone at the lawful time. That time is now. You will rise each day and say the sentence before the world says anything else to you. You will speak before you scroll. You will declare before you interpret. You will train your tone to precede your perception. And in doing so, the atmosphere will yield. The fog will part. The choreography will commence. This is not therapy. This is law. And your voice, its executor. You are no longer simply correcting a condition. You are constructing a consciousness. These final 7 days are not for rescue. They are for reign. This is the movement from inner repair to outer rulership. You are not here to be comforted. You are here to be crowned. Dominion is not achieved by understanding everything. It is secured by speaking correctly, consistently, and without compromise. These next declarations are not apologies to the universe. They are instructions to the invisible. The fog has lifted, the map has risen, now you build. Day 8. I am synchronized with divine opportunities. You do not chase, you align. The right call, the open door, the perfect moment, all are magnetized by rhythm, not striving. You are not meant to fight your way into favor. You are designed to meet opportunity by vibration. When you declare, I am synchronized with divine opportunities, you are not describing an ideal, you are announcing a frequency. You are entering the flow of the prepared. The moment you speak this lawfully, the law begins to match your tempo. Appointments adjust, timing accelerates, and what seemed missing begins to orbit into place because you said so. Day 9. I go where I am celebrated, not tolerated. This is not about ego. This is about spiritual placement. You were not created to earn acceptance through shrinkage. You were not designed to remain in rooms where your light is dimmed for comfort. When you insist on staying in dishonoring environments, you disobey spiritual instruction. Divine guidance does not assign humiliation. It never places you where your voice must beg for space. Speak this: I go where I am celebrated. And understand, celebration is not applause. It is resonance. And if resonance is absent, the assignment is over. Day 10. God cannot misguide me. I now hear clearly. You must stop questioning the whisper. You must stop treating intuition like accident. The still small voice is not a suggestion. It is spirit speaking in your dialect. It will not yell. It will not beg. But it is exact. When you say God cannot misguide me, you are not flattering the heavens. You are declaring the infallibility of divine order. You are activating a line of trust that overrides second-guessing. Write this sentence, place it where the noise of the world cannot silence it. God cannot misguide me. I hear, I follow, I trust. Day 11, I trust the unfolding. This declaration ends the tyranny of timelines. You do not demand to know. You do not audit the delay. You do not rehearse impatience. When you speak this sentence, you are sanctifying the unknown. You are consecrating the process. I trust the unfolding means I move without grasping. I rest without panic. I release without regret. You may not understand the choreography, but you are still inside it. Say this when your emotions shake. Say this when nothing moves. Say it to stop the mind from writing stories. I trust the unfolding. Day 12. I am where I'm meant to be, becoming what I'm meant to become. Your location is not a mistake. Your current condition is not the final scene. You are not behind. You are not off track. You are positioned. This is your current place of refinement. The divine plan does not make errors in geography. You do not need to escape. You need to declare, I am where I'm meant to be, becoming what I'm meant to become. Say it not for comfort, but for construction. Every time you speak this, the energy of resistance dissolves. You stop fighting your season and start extracting its gold. Day 13. No fear can block my destiny. Fear has performed many roles: caution, delay, logic, false wisdom. You have mistaken it for protection. But fear has never been your guardian. It has only been your jailer. And today, you break its chain with law. When you say, no fear can block my destiny, you are cutting the cord between vibration and sabotage. You are declaring war on every soft lie that says, wait a little longer. You are not waiting. You are not preparing. You are walking. This sentence is your shield. This sentence is your decree. Speak it until every hesitation burns away. Day 14. I now speak, and the way is prepared before me. This is the seal, the final alignment. The full recognition of who you are and how you are designed to function. You are not here to wander. You are not here to guess. You are here to command reality into formation by lawful speech. I now speak, and the way is prepared before me. That is not metaphor. That is protocol. Speak it until it no longer feels like an idea, but becomes your oxygen. When your word is final, the law must obey. There is no gap between declaration and demonstration. Only the rhythm of spiritual precision. These 7 sentences complete your 14-day covenant. Each one a spiritual thread, woven into the fabric of your unseen path. You have not been rehearsing phrases. You have been constructing dominion. You have not been manifesting wishes. You have been enforcing law. This is the walk of the awakened one. Not passive, not confused, not apologetic, but synchronized, sovereign, and spiritually legal. Let this be your rhythm. Rise, speak, obey, rest, repeat. Do not revisit the language of the past. Do not allow fear to reclaim its role. You are not the same soul who began this sequence. You are not asking the law to respond. You are walking in its response. And from this moment forward, no fog shall delay you. No voice shall override you. No confusion shall define you. For you have spoken, and it is so. You have now spoken lawfully for 14 days. The fog has lifted. The pattern has begun to emerge. But if you do not understand what lies beneath the fog, it will return. The mistake most people make is this: they assume clarity is permanent once felt. But clarity is not a mood. It is a frequency that must be reinforced. And the only way to sustain it is by dismantling its enemy, subconscious contradiction. The subconscious mind is not evil. It is not cruel. It is obedient. It takes whatever you repeat, whether sacred or sabotaging, and turns it into pattern. It does not distinguish between law and lie. It does not evaluate your intention. It responds to repetition. Every time you say, "I'm confused," it listens. Every time you say, "I'm stuck," it remembers. Every sigh of defeat, every nervous joke about failure, every silent agreement with delay, it records it all. And over time, it weaves these threads into a structure that governs your choices. This structure is what most people call personality. But Florence called it what it truly is: spiritual hypnosis. You were not born confused. You were programmed to expect contradiction. You were trained to doubt timing. You were conditioned to interpret stillness as punishment. But these are not your truths. They are borrowed scripts, and unless you burn them, you will return to the same fog wearing a different face. Let me speak plainly. Every subconscious agreement must be revoked. Every buried sentence must be rewritten. You cannot install divine law over the ruins of fear. You must clear the altar. You must reclaim the throne of inner speech. This is not spiritual therapy. This is divine protocol. Begin here. When you hear yourself say, "I don't know what to do," you interrupt it. You replace it. You override it in real time. You speak, "Infinite Spirit knows my way and reveals it now." You do not argue with confusion. You overrule it. You do not analyze delay. You annul it. You do not pray to feel better. You decree to be realigned. This is the work Florence taught, the work of reversal, not by willpower but by substitution. You replace false authority with true speech. Not once, not twice, but until the subconscious submits. Because the subconscious does not resist change. It simply demands consistency. And most people do not speak long enough, strong enough, or accurately enough for the change to hold. This is why you say, "I am not confused, I am clear. I am not stuck, I am guided. I am not behind, I am in rhythm. I am not searching, I am receiving. I am not broken, I am becoming." These are not poetic sentences. These are metaphysical hammers. Each one demolishes an old groove in the mind. Each one uninstalls a false command, and each one lays a new line of law. When you speak them rhythmically, the body calms, the mind focuses, the spirit rises, because your being begins to recognize its original language again. But you must understand this. The illusion of being lost will try to reassert itself. It will whisper, "It's too late." It will murmur, "You missed it." It will suggest, "You've wasted too much time." These are not observations. They are spiritual viruses, and they are only effective if spoken. The moment you agree with them, aloud or in thought, you authorize delay again. Florence would have corrected this instantly. She would have said, "You have not wasted time. All things are working for your advancement." That was not motivational fluff. That was lawful correction. She understood that spiritual reality cannot be warped by history. It can only be distorted by present agreement. You must now rewire your atmosphere through speech. You must recondition your tongue to refuse any phrasing that implies disorder. You are not waiting for the right thought to emerge. You are declaring the right structure into place. Speak this now, not once but with rhythm. I cannot miss my divine path because the divine path cannot miss me. Say it until the old panic dies. Say it until your nervous system adjusts. Say it until fear has nothing left to cling to. You are not a victim of detour. You are a carrier of rhythm. This is the new covenant. Nothing is wasted in divine mind. Every delay serves my refinement. Every silence prepares my hearing. Every shift is intelligent. Every step is sovereign. You are not returning to some former clarity. You are building a new one. One that is not conditional on what others say or what your senses report. One that is authored by inner law and anchored by daily declaration. Florence once spoke of a woman who said, "I feel I've missed my moment." And Florence replied with absolute authority, "What is yours by divine right cannot be lost. If it is yours, it must return. If it vanished, it was not yours." That is the law. You cannot break what is ordained. You can only delay its arrival through disbelief. So now you withdraw agreement from the lie. You revoke every sentence that used time as a weapon. You speak again, not with hope, but with fire. Say this: the divine plan of my life is now in full operation. Do not wait to believe it. Say it until belief follows. Declare it until atmosphere adjusts, because this is how spirit installs new memory, through language, through vibration, through law. You are not simply removing fog, you are burning the blueprint of confusion. You are no longer someone searching for a map. You are someone who is the map, and your word is the compass. You have spoken, you have dismantled the fog, you have reprogrammed the rhythm. But now comes the final question: will your actions match your word? For this is the test most fail, not because they doubt the law, but because they forget to walk as if it is already in motion. Let me speak clearly. The law does not reward belief. The law obeys alignment. It does not respond to emotional enthusiasm. It responds to spiritual obedience. And obedience in the metaphysical sense means this: your tone, your steps, your silence, your schedule, all reflect the word you just declared. If you say, "I walk in divine clarity," but still ask everyone for advice, the law hears contradiction. If you declare, "I know the path is open," but your posture collapses into anxiety, the vibration is canceled. If you whisper, "Spirit guides me," but your feet remain frozen in panic, the law cannot move, not because it lacks power, but because it is bound to your instruction. So here is the command. For the next 14 days, you are no longer authorized to speak confusion, not to yourself, not to your friends, not under your breath. The phrase "I don't know" is now illegal in your atmosphere. The sentence "I feel behind" is a breach of contract. The word "maybe" must be expelled. The language of delay must be burned. Instead, your tongue is consecrated to law. Each morning, before the world enters your field, you will rise and speak. Infinite Spirit, I declare this day aligned. The path is revealed before me. The way is made plain because I speak it so. You do not say this timidly. You do not wait for a feeling to justify it. You say it because the system is activated through language, not logic. You say it because the subconscious mind, the atmosphere, and the unseen field all respond to the vibration of a consecrated sentence. Then you walk. And walking in this context means taking the next aligned action without double-checking it through fear. You do not wait for signs, you become the sign. You do not scroll for confirmation, you carry confirmation in your tone. Your schedule becomes sacred, your posture becomes proof. Your silence becomes reinforcement. And when night comes, you do not replay doubts. You do not review delays. You close the day in power. Tonight, I rest in alignment. The law is at work as I sleep. What is mine is revealed. What is false is dissolved. I rise again in clarity. This is not motivational ritual. This is how lawful beings reprogram time. Your word begins the motion. Your walk confirms the commitment. Your rest seals the covenant. Florence taught that the subconscious mind is most impressionable upon waking and just before sleep. That is when the soil is soft. That is when the pattern is planted. And that is where the average person makes their greatest mistake. They start and end their day rehearsing confusion instead of commanding clarity. But not you. Not anymore. From this moment forward, you do not speak as if. You speak because it is so. You do not wait to feel ready. You speak to make it ready. You do not ask permission from appearances. You grant permission to spirit to move by issuing the lawful decree. Let me make it plain. The version of you who doubts, who hesitates, who scrolls, who hopes quietly while speaking confusion loudly, she is no longer permitted to lead. Her voice must fall silent, her logic must bow, her patterns must be broken, and they are broken not by force, but by fire, the fire of declaration. Say this now, that version of me no longer speaks. She is buried under the word. The one who speaks now is the one who knows. You do not say, I'll try. You say, I begin. You do not ask, is it working? You say, the law is working because I have spoken. You do not flirt with delay. You walk as if it has already unfolded. And if the atmosphere resists, if the doubt whispers, if the past returns, you do not explain, you do not debate, you do not collapse. You answer with fire, the law is in motion. My word has gone forth. It cannot return void. This is no longer theory. This is your new tongue. This is your new logic. This is your spiritual architecture, spoken into being, one sentence at a time. You are no longer circling truth. You are commanding it. You are no longer rehearsing fear. You are sealing faith. You are no longer wondering who you are. You are speaking as one who governs atmosphere. Your declarations have become infrastructure. Your rhythm has become revelation. Your steps are now synchronization. This is not the end of your journey. This is the formal activation of your authority. You are not being restored. You are being reinstalled. You are not recovering from confusion. You are ascending into command. So go, speak again, walk again, obey again, and let no lie rise against your word without being crushed by the weight of your rhythm. Because when you speak as law, the fog flees. When you walk as law, the map appears. And when you rest in law, heaven moves in silence to uphold every word you have issued. You have now walked through the fog. You have reprogrammed the rhythm. You have sealed the word in fire. But this final step is not about celebration. It is about etching. What you speak in repetition becomes structure. And what becomes structure becomes self. Most people treat affirmations as suggestions. You will not. You will speak them as law. Not as inspiration, but as legal commands to your reality. These are not words to feel better. They are words to rewrite the frame through which your world obeys you. Florence did not teach suggestion. She taught structure. And she knew. A single spoken sentence issued in authority can reverse years of confusion. if spoken as final. So now let us speak. Each line must be said as if it were the first and last sentence the universe hears from you, because in law, that is exactly what it is. The way is open before me. Say it until your posture shifts. Say it until your breath steadies. Say it until your muscles align. You are not looking for the way. You are the voice that makes the way known. I trust divine timing. This is no longer a comfort. It is a sentence that removes all bargaining. The law does not obey human clocks. It obeys spiritual readiness. When you trust timing, you align with the only rhythm that cannot be late. There is no lost opportunity in spirit. Regret is not a report of reality. It is a hypnosis based on misperceived time. What is yours by divine right must appear, and nothing can prevent it. This line deletes the illusion of missing out. It rewrites the concept of failure, and it restores your position as one who walks in certainty. What is mine cannot be taken. Jealousy dies here. Competition collapses. Lack dissolves. This is not a wish. This is a security seal on your atmosphere. You are not fighting to keep what's yours. You are vibrating at the level where it cannot depart. I am now shown the next step. You are not here to plan 100 days ahead. The law reveals 1 inch at a time. This line installs expectation, not of logic, but of guidance. Say it before you open your eyes. Say it before you walk into any room. Say it until clarity is no longer a craving, but a constant. I walk in perfect clarity by the light of divine mind. Let this be your fire sentence, your map sentence, your weapon of order. You do not beg for light. You command your day to obey light. You are no longer describing life. You are designing it through word and will. Each of these lines is a stone. Together they form your new altar. This is not a mindset. This is spiritual architecture, and it must be built daily. Do not speak for comfort, speak for creation. Do not speak to feel better, speak to form better. Do not say things because they sound nice. Say them because they are legal. Because the law is not romantic. The law is exact. You are not a poetic soul trying to manifest a better mood. You are the voice of divine mind in physical form, and your atmosphere responds not to emotion, but to declaration. So let these affirmations become your pattern. Print them, post them, speak them upon waking, whisper them into sleep. Let them replace the language of delay. Let them bury the voice of your former self. And let this be your final confirmation. You were never lost. You were simply silent. You were never behind. You simply forgot the rhythm. You were never denied. You simply stopped declaring. But now you remember. Now you speak. Now you are walking in law. This is not motivation. This is restoration. This is the return of rhythm, and this is how spiritual identity is reinstalled. One word, spoken lawfully, repeated without compromise, obeyed without delay. You are no longer wondering if the law works. You are watching it work because you spoke it so. Now rise, say it again, seal it, and walk as one whose atmosphere answers not to appearances, not to emotion, not to time, but to the tongue that commands it. Your word is your rhythm. Your rhythm is your proof. And your proof is this: you are no longer the one who waits. You are the one who speaks.